SANDHAN. All Gujarat Integrated Classroom.
સેટેલાઇટના માધ્યમથી જોડતી કડી એટલે સંધાન.
Dear students, today our topic is Sir Richard Steele and his essays on in the Startle and the Spectator, the Tatler and the Spectator. First, we have to understand what is the spectator. As the dictionary meaning of the spectator means persons who are watching, persons who are observing. We are the spectators sitting aside. As let us think about the cricket match. It is going on. The players are playing, and the persons who are watching, they are called the spectators. Spectators means persons who are watching. So the name of the essay written by Sir Richard Steele and Joseph Addison, they gave the name the Spectator. Now first think about Sir Richard Steele, the position of the people of that time. Sir Richard Steele was born in Dublin in Ireland. He was Irishman, as we know. Another writer of Ireland was W.B. Yeats. Yeats was also Irish person. So W.B. Yeats and Sir Richard Steele both were Irish. Irish is the country is near to Britain, and so Addison and Steele both wrote together for many years. The two important essays they wrote are the Tatler and the Spectator. So what is the theme of the essay, the Spectator? First, before we go to the essay, first let us think about the facts about Sir Richard Steele. What is the difference between the nature of Addison and Steele? As we know that Addison travelled a lot. Addison visited Austria, Italy and other countries, and he was more influenced by Italian writers. He was also influenced by Greek writers, while Steele also travelled a lot. But some problems for Steele was that at very small age he lost his parents. Steele was born in Dublin in March 1672. The exact date was not known. He was baptized on March 12. Steele's father died in 1676. See, Steele was born in 1672. His father died in 1676. So he was only of 4 years. Then after, his mother also died. So he lost his parents. So at the very small age, he lost his parents. So he was discharged to his uncle. Some other people took charge of him, and Steele has to pass his life not with his parents. So after that, Steele started his career from Ireland. He came to Britain, and he became the student of Oxford University. So Addison went to Oxford. Both Steele and Addison went to Oxford. Steele entering Christ Church in 1689 and transferring to Merton College in 1691. His Oxford career was undistinguished. He left in 1692 without taking a degree in order to volunteer for cadet service under the command of the Duke of Ormonde. Still then served in the life of guards and later transferred to the custodian guards. So the basic difference between Edison and Still was that Still and Edison, they were together at Oxford University as a students, but after that Edison took another path and Still went for commanding service. He was influenced by the service of commandant and he joined army on that time. So if you understand the picture of Still, it gives impression, his facial expression gives impression that he was kind, generous, noble and sensitive person. His face and his personality says such that he was very sensitive fellow, very caring and very sensitive. But what the psychology behind was that because he lost his parents at a very small age and he has to pass his life with his uncle and other persons. So that particular factor was responsible for the disturbance in his small age in his childhood. But after he went to Britain and he became students at Oxford University. He met Edison there. They both met together. But after their students' life, they changed their life in the sense that Edison was given pension of that Duke in the Whig party. But here Still passed his some years in service of a soldier. So here some changes came in the life of Still. So now see the photograph of the Spectator. The Spectator was written in 1711. So in this particular essays, in Spectator and the Tatler, when we were thinking about the essay, so number of essays are 188. Still and Edison, they met and they wrote two newspapers, they worked for two journals. That was the Spectator and the Tatler. The Spectator, there are total 555, means 555 essays, in which Still wrote 236 essays. So Still wrote more than Edison. Edison took the initiative for writing and Still developed the essays. Still developed the essays in his own ways. Edison took different path, took another way for writing his essays. So the way of Edison and Still were different, but their thinking was same for starting and writing essays. As in the previous lecture, why these two authors met and why they thought of writing essays, writing columns, writing newspapers, contributing to newspapers, because they were very serious persons, understanding the position of people, especially the position of middle class people. They both understand the position of women, as women were not educated. Here is a book on women on women. In this book, I edited this book. In this book, women spoke about other women, how women were not given the rights, how they are not at par with men. So women thought about other women, that women should be educated. Women should be they should have sound economic position. Women should have the room of their own. So feminism, that particular phase affected the writing of Addison, as we have seen, and here Steele also thought little about women. So total number of essays, 555 essays in the Spectator, of which 236 essays Steele wrote, and Addison also contributed some of the essays. So both were Oxford students, but Steele joined church and joined the commandant position, soldiership. He took the different way than Addison. The Spectator means the club, because in the time of Swift, in the time of Addison and Steele, the clubhouses were very famous. People met, people talk, people think, people discuss all about politics, church, political parties, the position of people of that time, the culture of people. So coffee houses were very famous of that time. So the name of the Spectator was also given to the name of one club of people met, one club of people who are thinking about their countrymen. So this was the motto behind the writing of that particular phase, the Tatler and the Spectator. So Steele founded the Spectator. Steele started and developed the Spectator, and Addison helped him to give fame and name to this particular newspaper, particular column, particular journal. So in one of the essays of the Spectator, Steele talks about his own life, how he started his career at Oxford University, and how he took different way from Addison. I have observed that a reader seldom pursues a book with pleasure till he knew whether the writer of it be a black or a fair man, of a mild choleric disposition. Prefatory discourses to my following writings shall give some account in them of several persons that are engaged in this work. So Steele first gives introduction, that how writing is necessary, how thinking about the people of his time was necessary. So they both thought seriously about the situation of that particular time. Then Swift started writing about his birth, that I was born to a small estate which, according to the tradition of the village, then his father was, he was talking about his father. His father was justice, but they both couldn't live together for many years. His father died when he was only 4 years of his age. I would but so an irresistible thirst after knowledge carried me into the countries of Europe, in which there was anything new or strange to be seen, men concerning antiquities in Egypt. So as we have seen that Addison was interested to get knowledge, Steele was also in that direction. Addison was given pension by the Duke of that time, by the ruler of that time. He was given pension of £300 for traveling and to get knowledge, to get wisdom. So, but here the position of Steele was different. Due to his thirst for knowledge, he travelled in many countries. He first talks about in this essay that he visited Egypt. As we know that Egypt is famous for its pyramids. So he talks about how he liked the city Cairo, how he visited Egypt, the pyramids and the mummies of that time in this particular essay. Then he talks about the coffee houses. Sometimes I am seen thrusting my head into a round of politicians at wheels. Then how many coffee houses of that time? Number one is the wheels. Will, the word itself shows will. Will means determination to do something. So the first coffee house is the will. Then I seem attentive nothing but to the postman. Then another is postman. Then committees or political phase is likewise very well known at Grecian and the cocoa tree. Then still talks about two theatre of that time. As we know that theatre and dramas were very important activities from the age of Shakespeare. Then from the age of Shakespeare, if we go to Dryden, we also understand that at the time of Dryden also, drama was very famous. The form of drama, the theatres were very famous in the sense that people like drama. People used to see drama. So coffee houses and theatres were having utmost importance of that time. In Pope's time also we see coffee houses, that intellectual as Pope in his essays on criticism and in the Rape of the Lock, what he says that in the coffee houses intellectual people met and they discuss about all subjects. Coffee makes an intelligent man, as it was saying in Pope's time. So Shakespeare's time, Dryden's time, Pope's time, they were all very famous for coffee houses, clubs and theatres. So Edison and Steele gave the name the Tatler and the Spectator. So the name Spectator was in the form of a club where many people met and thought about the country, about its people, about the problems of the people, about the awareness of the people. So here in this essay, the Spectator still talks about two theatres, Drury Lane and Haymarket. I have taken for merchant upon the exchange for about these 10 years. I see a cluster of people. I always mix with them. I never open my lips but in my own club. So he says that many people get together in these two theatres also. Even if the play was not going on, people meet, people discuss, people talks about many things. Thus I live in the world rather as a spectator of mankind. Dear students, please mind this particular line. What Steele says in this essay. I live in the world rather as a spectator of mankind than as one of the species, by which means I have made myself a speculative statesman, soldier, merchant, artisan, without ever meddling with any practical part in life. Statesman. What is the definition of statesman? Statesman means a person who is interested in politics, in the states of affair of that particular country, in the taste of people. So the statesman, soldier, because Steele was interested in the life of soldier. he joined the army also. So it is sort of biographical character of Steele. So statesman, because Steele was also working for the Whig party. Both Addison and Steele, they are devoted to the Whig party. So the statesman, soldier, merchant, business, selling, because both men are devoted to publication. So naturally they are more interested in selling also. If we think about selling, let us first think about the details of the Spectator, that how much the chief glory of the Spectator is of course the club, and it was in the essay which follows still first sketch the characters composing it. So the glory of the this particular essay, the Spectator club, rests upon Steele more than Addison, because he Steele and Addison both made inventions of some characters. Which are the major characters? The chief glory of the Spectator is of course the club. The Spectator himself was Addison's creation. Addison also elaborated Sir Roger. Steele originated him. The character of Sir Roger was invented by Addison and Steele developed it. Then Addison, whatever may be the respective claims of Addison and Steele to the credit of the success of the Spectator, it is to Steele that the honor belongs of having founded its predecessor, the Tatler, and originating the periodical essays. So, for the first time in the history of English literature, that two great personalities, because when we think about Dryden always many times talks about comparative criticism. He compares Shakespeare and Fletcher. He compares some writers of his time. So comparative criticism is a very interesting part of the particular time. So here Steele and Addison, they are comparison between them is also interesting, because they both worked for many years, but then one phase came in the life of Steele when in the later period Steele was not he was not supported by Addison's thought. He broke away the relation with Addison, and on that time Addison died. So after that Steele thought that he should not have done in such a manner. So Addison and Steele, they have little indifferences, but they work together for many years. If we study the record of this particular Spectator, he was appointed to the post of Steele was appointed to the post of gazetteer. Now we have to think about personal life of the writer. As we know that Steele was very much affected by bad childhood, because he lost his parents at a very small age. Then after this publication of the Tatler, he got married with first wife. Then after some years his first wife died, so he has to marry the second wife, and the second marriage also was not very successful, but still got some money through this second marriage. So his married life was also disturbed. So due to disturbance in his personal life, it affected the writing of his essays. So as we know the comparison of the nature of Steele and Addison, we see that Steele is impulsive, sensitive, caring, careful about his own self, about the people of Britain, about many persons surrounded by him. So many important events took place. Still became in 1710 still became commissioner of stamps. So he was given a good post and he was given good handsome money also. Then the Tatler was succeeded in March 1711 by the more famous Spectator, which ceased in December 1712. So 1712 and 13, in this particular time, both newspapers, both columnists, both journals started and they earned lot by their writing. What is, as we know that what is the, why these people gave the name the Spectator? As we know the dictionary meaning of the Spectator means the people who are watching, the people who are observing. So here Edison and still they are writing through the character of Sir Roger. But through the character of Sir Roger, they are advocating the rights of the people. They are talking with the people through their characters. Mr. Spectator speaks very little, right? The character Mr. Spectator speaks very little, but says more by facial expression, by gestures, by expression. He speaks many things about many matters. His unassuming profile enables him to circulate widely throughout society, fulfill his position as spectator, as in his essay what Steele said, that we are spectator of mankind. We are observers of mankind. We are observers of the people, observers of the church of that time, the spectator of the political parties, the spectators of the politicians. There, the politicians' role also very important, because the politicians always play important role in the development of any country. So now the second number of the Spectator introduces the members of the Spectator Club. As the title is given to this essay by Steele, that Richard Steele's The Spectator Club. So the Spectator Club is, the title is given because this the essay is devoted to the spectators, in the form of the spectator, to the people. So they gave the title The Spectator Club. Means in the form of club, they would discuss, they would talk about the people of Britain, about the church of that time, about the politicians, about the coffee houses, about the theaters of that time. So in order to foster an inclusive ethos, they are drawn from many different walks of life. The best known of these characters is Sir Roger, an English squire of Queen Anne's reign. As we know that in the time of Queen Anne, church were very important. Churches and church life, church people, God, religion, what is the thinking of the people of that time about the church, about religion, about God, theist and atheist people. So this Spectator were given the name the Spectator clubs, and Sir Roger created some characters from church life so that people see the reality of the church, see the reality of the God, and of the thinking of the people in the subject of religion. Sir Roger is the main character. Actually, the idea of Sir Roger was from Edison, but still developed the character of Sir Roger in his own way, and he wrote many essays surrounding this particular character. Then English Squire, he exemplified the values of an old country gentleman and was portrayed as lovable but somewhat ridiculous, making his Tory politics seem harmless but silly. You know, on that time, two parties were there, Tory and Whigs. So both Steele and Edison were working for the party. Will Honeycomb is a rake who is very ready at the sort of discourse with which men usually entertain women. So, second character, first is Sir Roger. Second character, Honeycomb, who is whose profession is to impress women, to think about women and to impress them. He is reformed near the end of the Spectator when he marries. Andrew Freeport is a merchant, and the club also includes a general and a priest. So this was some important facts about the Spectators. Now, if we think about numbers of essays written in the Spectator, if we think about statistical data of this particular essay, let us know what happens here. Despite a modest daily circulation of approximately 3,000 copies, they both Edison and Steele started this daily, this newspaper, this in the form of journal with 3,000 copies. London people read this Spectator and Tatler with a lot of interest. The Spectator was widely read. Joseph Edison estimated that each number was read by 60,000 Londoners. So they started with 3,000 copies daily, and after some years it reached up to 60,000 copies. 60,000 Londoners read the Spectator. So it was great success on the part of both the writers. About a tenth of the capital's population at the time. Contemporary historians and literary scholars do not consider this to be unreasonable claim. Most readers were not themselves subscribed, but patrons of one of the subscribing coffee houses. But still, lot of things to be done, because people read the Spectator. Many people read. As we have seen, 60,000 London people read the Spectators. But they are not reading by their own expenses. London people read in without giving any expenses, because they are more interested in coffee houses. Reading a newspaper or paying money for reading newspaper was not considered good. Ownership of coffee houses was very important of that time. So in this essay, the Spectator Club still talks about coffee houses and theatres of that time, because theatres were the medium of meeting of people, talking, discussing about the people of that time about the church, about the history, about the taste of people. So, Steele considers himself as a spectre of mankind. So, please, students, please note this line, that in the world rather as a spectator of mankind. As in one of his plays, Shakespeare wrote, "We all are merely players on this earth. We have to pass through 7 ages or 7 births, from childhood, youth, and up to our last age." Right? So here Steele talks about, he sees the world as a spectator. So I am very well versed in the theory of an husband, father, can discern the areas in the economy, business, diversion of others. I never espouse any party with violence, am resolved to observe and exit with neutral between the Whigs and Tories. So Steele is smart enough, because when he is writing for public, directly he doesn't say that he is with the Tories or he is with the Whigs. Actually, we know that both are working for Whigs, but directly he doesn't say that I am neutral. So a little bit shrewd politician, in the form of shrewd politician, he says that I am neutral. I am not working for Whigs or Tory. I am neutral. I know both the parties. I am in touch with both the party men. So in a shrewd manner he goes ahead. I shall be forced to declare myself by the hostilities of either side. I have given the reader to just so much of my history and character. I have made be in the possession of silent man. For this reason, therefore, I shall publish a sheet full of thoughts every morning. Now, here, as we have seen that the position of Addison, and here we see the position of Steele. What is the difference? As we know that Steele, Addison visited Italy and other countries. So after coming back, he thought seriously, because he had knowledge from other countries. He knew people of that country. He knew about the literature of Italy. He knew about the literature, the literary people of that country. So he thought very seriously that how that knowledge can be given to his countrymen. So Addison in that way thought about the country of his or the countrymen. Steele also thought. Steele also visited Egypt and other countries. But the observer was more acute in Addison, I think. So Steele declares that I will write something for my countrymen. So the Tatler and the Spectator are the answers in his question, in his statement, that I will write something for my people in the form of essay, in the form of column, in the form of journal. There are 3 very material points I have not spoken in this paper, that I am because Steele thought himself a responsible citizen, a responsible countryman, that I should do something for my people. I should do something for the better, to make my people better citizen. So he started writing this essay. So he gave the idea of why they have started in this way. So it was mentioned clearly, the motto of the Spectator Club. Now here he talks about the Spectator Club. I shall in tomorrow's paper give an account of those gentlemen who are concerned with me in this work. So in the Spectator Club, in my essay, who are near to me, who are with me to publish my this essay, that I will tell you. So we know that he will talk about his friends who were surrounded to start such a column, such a newspaper. Then he described the pyramids of Egypt. A Persian scholar, Savilian professor of astronomy at Oxford, pyramids, whose visit to the pyramids in 1638. So that particular description is not much important to our character. Then the important things now comes, as he counted coffee houses of his time. First is Will's Coffee House. Dear students, please note down the coffee houses of Steele's time, Edison's time, as we know that coffee houses are very important part of the political, religious situation and social condition of the Britain of that time. First is Will's Coffee House, which had been successfully known as the Real Red Cow and the Rose before it took permanent name from Will Irwin, its proprietor. So a little detail is given about this coffee house. Then number 2, please note down. First is Will's Coffee House. Second, Child's Coffee House in St. Paul's Churchyard, neighborhood to the Cathedral and Doctors' Commons, made it a place of resort for the clergy. The College of Physicians had been first established in Lincare's House number 5. So here Steele talks about second coffee house, that is Child's Coffee House, and he also talks about the first physician college. I mean, physicians means we can understand that it is college of medicine. So it is near to the College of Medicine, this Child's Coffee House. Flats it had its room. Physicians therefore and philosophers as well as the clergy used Child's as convenient place of resort. So because physicians hospital is there, physicians college is there, physicians and socialites, as the name was given by, made famous by Sauvarde in her novels, socialites means people who are gossiping, who are talking, who are discussing about politics, about country and countrymen. So socialites and philosophers, medicine men, they meet in this coffee house, Child's Coffee House. Number 2. Then number 3, The Postman, established and edited by Mr. Fon, a learned and grave French Protestant who was said to make £600 every year by it. So now he talks about the papers of the spectators, on which topics he would write. So he would write about the dailies. See, first he described the theatres, 2 theatres he described. Then 3 coffee houses. He gave the information about 3 coffee houses. Now the dailies of that time. So students, if you want to study the history of English literature of this particular time. You have to note down these facts that this was the age of intelligent people. People meet, people talk, people discuss. Coffee houses were there, theaters were there, and people met there, people discussed there on many topics. And after publishing, as we know that in after Shakespeare's time, publishing houses became famous, and publications were started, journals were started, newspapers were started. So I think this was the peak period, the period of Dryden and the period of the Spectator and the Tatler, the period of Edison and Steele. That periodicals, journals, magazines, coffee houses, clubs, and theaters all are the favorite places of people for gossips and discussion. So, which are the papers? Now, St. James Coffee House was the last house, but on the southwest corner, one more coffee house, St. James Coffee House, then the Grecian Coffee House, then the Coca Tree was a chocolate house in some James Street. Tory statesman and man of fashion, St. James Coffee House, they meet there. So Tory people, I mean the politicians and men of fashion. So as we know that Edison wrote that particular page for women of how fashionable women are passing their time. So after that, that lady wrote a letter to Edison that Mr. Spectator, please tell more about us, how we should pass time in a good manner. So here also still describe coffee houses and now the theatre. Drury Lane had a theatre in Shakespeare's time, one important theatre. Drury Lane, please note down, Drury Lane had a theatre in Shakespeare's time. It was destroyed in 1617 by a Puritan mob, rebuilt and occupied again till the stoppage of stage plays in 1648. In that theatre, Marlowe's Jew of Malta was played. As we have some historical facts that in Shakespeare's time, theatre played a very important role for the propaganda of literature, especially propaganda of drama. So after the age of Shakespeare, perhaps this theatre might have been broken by the Puritan, by a Puritan mob. What is Puritan? Dear students, do you know what is Puritan? Who the people are whom we call the Puritans? The Puritan was the term used in the time of Milton, where the Puritans were very strict about rules and regulations of the church. They have got very strict discipline. What they have thought, they want to do that. They would never change their mind. So the Puritans, they destroyed this theatre, and after that the theatre was rebuilt, and still talks about this theatre, how to rebuild and how people met here. Then the original theatre was rebuilt by Christopher Wren and opened in 1674 with a prologue by Dryden. So Dryden, the name of Dryden is also given. So in this way, Steele talks about theater, clubhouses, religion, religious people, politics, parties, politicians' attitude towards the country, and little bit about women also. But so far as feminism is concerned, Edison is better feminist because he devoted special page, special edition for the education of women. I mean, we can say in conclusion, we can say that both Edison and Steele contributed together for the success of the Spectator and the Tatler in a very good manner, and it's a sort of history, sort of record in the history of English literature that two intelligent men took one form and wrote for many years with a grand success. This is a really great achievement because we know that people of knowledge, they are full of ego. So with this we conclude our session with the note that the Spectator and the Tatler got great success of their time.
SANDHAN, All Gujarat Integrated Classroom.
સેટેલાઇટના માધ્યમથી જોડતી કડી એટલે સંધાન.